everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, before we get started, you will just need to download all of the different things that you will need in today's tutorial. So that is the color palette, the custom star brush for the stars in the sky, and then 2 images, 1 the paper texture, and then 2 the bear claw outline. We will draw the bear claw outline in the video, but if you're having trouble with it, I just included this so that you can import the one that I made instead. So it's all linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. So for the color palette, just double tap the file that downloads and it'll automatically pop into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video. For the 2 images, just save those to your iPad somewhere where you can access them later in the video when we need them. And then for the brush, you will just go to your brush library in Procreate. If you have a special place where you like to save custom brushes, like a custom folder, or wherever you want to save this particular brush, just find that area, click the plus icon, and then click import, and find the font where you downloaded it on your iPad to import it. I'll also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we will get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we will be working with today. So the first thing that we are going to do is just set the background color. We are going to set it to this green color, the second one on the top row. So to do that, we will go to our layer menu and click on this background color layer at the bottom. And it should open up your color palettes or your color selector so that you can select the second color on the top row to fill that in. And then we will just be on layer 1 here and we will grab our white color, the first one on the first row. And this is what we'll use to first draw our paw print. So we'll draw the actual paw print shape in the claws just as normal, and then we will get our outline from that. So again, on layer 1 with our white color, we will grab our monoline brush. Let's go ahead and just set it to 100% to start. And we are first just going to draw the bottom part of the paw print, and to do so we are just going to first start with a circle shape. So let's just start kind of in this bottom middle area here, and we'll draw a nice circle. Hold it down till it turns into a perfectly smooth shape, and then touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Just a good medium size that maybe takes up the bottom 1/2-ish of the screen, somewhere in there. Then go ahead and fill it in. Then we'll click the arrow tool, and then on uniform, if you would like, you can resize it at all if you need to. Otherwise, let's also just center it, and so make sure the snapping is turned on in the bottom left. And then center it on the screen here where we see our vertical yellow line. Again, more towards the bottom half of the screen, like so. So now to get our more paw print shape, which I will put a little shape on the screen here so that you can see what we're going for. But to get there, we are just going to have our arrow tool selected and set it to warp. And now we can adjust our circle to kind of get closer to that shape that we're going for. So we're going to try to keep it pretty symmetrical. So what we do to one side, we'll do to the other side. So essentially, we want our bottom to kind of have 2 corners here. So let's first drag these corners out a bit. So again, one side and the other side. We want the middle to come up a little bit. So we'll grab that. And just kind of drag these sides down, corners down, like so. And then we also just kind of want a little divot on this top right and top left area. We want it to kind of come in a little bit. So I'll grab those pieces and bring them in, grab these other pieces and bring them back out to just kind of work our way towards that. Okay, so that's pretty close. So now we're just going to kind of reset it so that we can adjust it further since we've kind of done a good amount. So we'll just click our arrow tool to turn it off, click it again to turn it back on, and now we can adjust it even further. So we'll again maybe drag our corners down in the bottom here, but also maybe drag the sides up a little bit so that they're a little thicker. And then it does kind of dip down on the sides up here, so that's good. And then we maybe want our top to be a little bit wider, so I'm just going to kind of widen that a little bit. And again, that helps kind of get us some more of our little divot-y shape on this top right and top left side. So again, and then it kind of dips in the middle bottom. So again, just do your best to get it like somewhat symmetrical. It does not have to be perfectly symmetrical at all, but something about like this. So I think I will stop here. So then when you turn off your arrow tool, if you click it to turn it back on, you can make some more adjustments if you need to. Otherwise, you can just set it to either uniform to change the size altogether, or even freeform if you want to like stretch it left to right or top to bottom or anything like that, you can do so. So again, make any further adjustments if you need to. Otherwise, I'm going to set mine to uniform, downsize it a teeny bit, and recenter it. Again, keeping it in this bottom area here. I might make it a little bit taller on freeform as well. So the top of my shape goes like just to about halfway, maybe a little bit past halfway from top to bottom here. So somewhere about like that. Okay. Now we will draw the claws, and we will draw them on a new layer so that we can adjust them separately if we need to. So let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer, same white color, same monoline brush, but we will drop our size down to maybe 30%. So we are going to make 5 claws here, so 1 in the middle, 2 on each side. The first one we will draw is the one in the middle, and then after that we will turn on symmetry for the side ones. But we'll do the first one in the middle without symmetry turned on. So essentially we are just going to draw an oval shape here. So let's draw a nice oval shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. And then we can click this edit button at the top to adjust it. And essentially we just want it to be, you know, a decent sized oval with still room for a claw at the top. So we'll do a little claw at the top. And then I'm going to have it tilt just slightly to the right on the top. So it's just tilted slightly this way, but mostly like centered with a nice little gap right above my main piece of my paw here. So somewhere about like that, then go ahead and fill that in. And then with our brush, we will make the claw on top. So I'm going to start a ways out from the top of my oval here, draw a curved line to the right and down, hold it down till it turns perfectly smooth. And then you can click the arc button at the top to adjust it if you need to adjust the arc or adjust the placement of the ends of the line. Feel free to do so, but I will leave mine about here. Then I will grab my pen tool again and draw another one on the other side. Same direction, hold it down again. Again, click edit to adjust it if you need to adjust the points at the top where they meet or adjust the curve of the line or anything. And then we will go ahead and fill that in. So that is our first claw. So now to get the other 2, we will turn on symmetry. So to do so, we will click the gear icon in the top left. Under Canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, and then click Edit Drawing Guide, and select the symmetry option here. You should see a vertical line pop up. If you do not, you might need to go under Options here and select Vertical. Then go ahead and click Done. And then the main thing that we want to do is make sure that this layer that we're on says Assisted, which means that symmetry is turned on. If it does not, go ahead and click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. But now we will just do essentially the same thing for the other one. So we'll draw the right side here. So we'll draw the next one here, which will be just right of the one that we drew already. Draw another oval shape, hold it down, click edit at the top to adjust it if you need to. And we want to make it a similar size and then just tilt it a little slightly more to the right than our other one was. And then go ahead and fill it in. So then we'll draw the claw. So we'll start outside here again, draw a curved line, hold it down, adjust it if you need to by clicking the arc button at the top. Otherwise, we will just draw the next one, hold it down, adjust it, and go ahead and fill it in. And then we will draw the last one, which will be just slightly to the right again, with a slightly smaller claw since it's on the outside. But same size for our oval, so we will just draw another oval shape, hold it down, click edit at the top. Again, tilt it out a little bit and try to kind of match, roughly the same size and shape as we've been doing, like so. And then go ahead and fill that in. And then again, we will make a claw, this time a little bit shorter, so we won't go out quite as far to start our line, so a little bit shorter, but same curved line, hold it down, edit it at the top if you need to. And our other line to connect it, hold it down. And fill it in. Okay, so now we'll zoom out here and this is what it is looking like, looking pretty good. I will say I do think that I just need my main paw part to be a little bit smaller and my claws to be a little bit bigger overall. So we will do that really quick. So just adjust sizes as you need to, but that's kind of why we drew them separately as well. So I'll go back to my paw print layer here, the main big one. Click the arrow tool on uniform, downsize it a little bit and recenter it here. Okay, then I will grab my claws, click the arrow tool on uniform, increase the size a teeny bit, not too much, and then we'll just drag them back around till they're like centered in the middle. Place them right here nicely above my paw print. Another quick change I'm going to make is to move these outer claws down a little bit. So I'm going to grab my selection tool on freehand with color fill turned off, and I'm just going to select around these two outside ones, leaving the other ones unselected. Click my arrow tool, move them down a little bit. I might even move it a little bit closer on one side, so my left side, and then I will grab my selection tool and just select the right one and move it a little bit closer as well. Something like that. So that's how you can select them and change them individually if you need to. So if you need to move any of the claws, if you need to like make one bigger or smaller or move them closer together or further apart, anything like that, you can do so. So go ahead and make any adjustments that you need to. Otherwise, if you're really struggling with this, I know it's kind of challenging. I did include the paw print outline as a download with the other items that you downloaded for today's drawing. If you don't like the way that yours turned out and you want to use my outline instead, go ahead and just add a new layer on your layer menu. Click the gear icon, click add, and then insert a file and find the outline wherever you downloaded it to add it to your picture. Make sure that it touches all of the corners. If you need to change the size at all, just make sure that you are on the arrow tool on uniform and adjust the size to fit your whole picture. And it should be a square just like mine, so it should fit perfectly. But otherwise, we are now going to make the outline from the pieces that we have laid down. So to do that, we will go to our layer menu. We will snap these two layers together so that they're all on one layer. Click on that layer and set it to reference. Add a new layer, and then with our white color, we will drag and drop it onto the new layer in the green space somewhere. And then even though the whole thing looks white, if you go to your layer menu, you should see the cutout on this layer and then our reference layer as well. So now if you go to our reference layer and you click the checkbox to turn it off, you will see just our outline left. And the green is now where our paw print is. And that is actually our background color showing through. So we can now go ahead and delete this paw print layer, the original one that we made with the white on the inside. Unless you want to make any changes, still go ahead and do so. Otherwise, we will just slide to the left and delete it. And then we are just left with our outline layer here. So now everything that we draw is going to be beneath this layer. So let's add a new layer, drag it below our outline layer. The outline layer will always stay on top until we get to the very end when we add our paper texture on top of everything, but all of our drawing pieces will be underneath it. So the first piece that we will draw is going to be our mountains. One other quick thing that we need to do before we get started is lower the opacity of our outline layer here So on our outline layer, click the end to open up the menu and drag the opacity down to maybe like 50%, somewhere in there, so that we can still kind of see it, but we do need to be able to see behind it while we're drawing our shapes and everything, so that we can make sure everything's connecting nicely and being placed where we would like it. So we can't turn it off all the way because we do want to use it as a guide for our picture for some of our pieces, but we also can't have it up all the way because we need to see where all of our lines are. So go ahead and lower the opacity there, be on the layer underneath it now, and we will get started on our mountains. So grab the third color on the top row of the color palette, same monoline brush at 30%, and essentially we are going to draw a tip of a mountain in each one of our claws. So I will just start on the left side here. So we will just draw a mountain peak. So I'm going to start kind of in this top middle area, start right there and make a point, and then draw down and to the left in kind of a wiggly, crooked line. And then we'll start at that same point and we will draw on the other side to create that side. Just make sure that when you start, you're always going out first a little bit and not just like straight down. Otherwise we'll get really, really, really pointy mountains and we don't want that. So these look pretty natural. And then just end your line either in the white space here or in the main paw print area is fine. So that will come into play mostly with our next one now. So we're going to start our mountain at that same area. So you know the top middle of this. And then we're going to stop in the white space. We don't want to draw any further and end up in this other cutout. So then we'll do the other side. Again, stop in the white space. And then on this left side here, we can just kind of connect these lines behind our white area like so, so that when we go to fill it in, it will fill all of this in as one connected shape. So we'll do that again now. This middle one, we'll start in the middle. This one's easier. We can just connect to that line. Stop in the white space there. Connect to that line. Stop in the white space. And then this one here, we'll again start in the top middle. Draw out and down into this white space here. And then on the right side here, we will go off the side of the screen. We'll connect this line to this line in the white space. And then again, just make sure everything's connected. So connect all your different mountain peaks, make sure that we're going off the screen on the left and right side. And then go ahead and fill in below that for our mountain peaks. So obviously it looks weird right now the way that we connected them all, but it will look very normal once we turn the opacity back up on this layer at the end. But now we are going to make like the highlights on our mountains. So we will do that on our same mountain layer here. So on the layer menu, just click on it and set it to alpha lock. Grab the fourth color on the top row of the color palette. Grab our selection tool with it set to freehand and then turn on color fill. So now we're just going to highlight the left side of all of our mountains. And we want to use some nice sharp angles and stuff. So to do so, we are going to, with our freehand selection tool here, we're just going to make a bunch of different dots that will all connect and make a nice highlight like so. So let's start on this left side here. We'll start above our mountain peak and make a dot. We'll go down a little bit, make another dot inside the mountain now. And then we'll just kind of go over, make a dot, go back in, make a dot. Just kind of making some like little zigzaggy things until we get just a little ways down. We don't have to go all the way down. And then I will now make a dot going all the way to the left into our white space. And then go around still in the white space. And then up into our sky just to select so that we have this whole left area selected here. And then go ahead and go back to the beginning dot to connect it and fill it in with that lighter color. So that gives us our highlight there. So we will do that on each one. So I clicked the selection tool to deselect that one. Click it again to turn it back on for our next one. So again, start at the middle, right outside of our shape, make a dot. Go in, make a dot. Trying to kind of mix it up a little bit until we get to a good ways down, and then we'll go back out into our white space again, and then all the way around in our white space until we get back to the beginning, like so. Okay, next one, selection tool turned on again. Okay, so this is what it is looking like now that those are all done. Just take your time, make those how you would like them, and then we will move on. So our next step is going to be to make our first row of trees, which are just going to be a bunch of triangles. So we are going to do that on a new layer on our layer menu. So add a new layer still underneath our outline layer. Grab the first color on the second row of the color palette. Same monoline brush at 30%. And we are first going to just make our ground line, which is just going to go straight from left to right in a slightly upward curved motion. So I'm going to go a good ways down from my mountain so that our trees can be, fairly tall here. So I want my middle point to maybe be like the middle point of my paw print here. So I'll start about there, make a nice line going this way in a slightly curved motion, hold it down until it turns nice and smooth, and then go ahead and adjust it so that it looks pretty straight across. You can click the arc button at the top and adjust the curve, or just adjust the placement. You can adjust the lines at the end so it looks fairly straight across from left to right. And then again, just kind of going right about through halfway through our paw print area here. Then we'll go ahead and fill below that. And now we will make all of our trees. So we're just going to do a bunch of different lines to get our triangles. So the first thing that we're going to do is draw vertical lines to be the center of our trees of varying heights. And we're going to do it all the way across, including in front of our mountains on the right and left side a little bit, if necessary. So I'm just going to start kind of right in the middle though, and I'm going to make a nice tall one that goes almost all the way to the top of my paw print here. So this will be about as tall as they get. So I'll draw a nice straight line from there into my main shape here, hold it down till it turns perfectly straight, and then touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly vertical. Okay, then we'll go over a little bit and maybe make a shorter one. Hold it down, touch the screen to make it perfectly vertical. We'll go over maybe a little further this time, leave a bigger gap, another straight vertical line. Maybe a really short one. Maybe another taller one now. So we'll just keep going all the way across, varying our heights and then varying our spacing. So some closer together than others, some further apart, all the way across, even though over on this right side here, you won't see this one, but we're going to draw it all the way across anyway. So then we'll go back to our middle here and we'll start on the left side. So we'll just make a larger space than I did before. If you ever want to move them after you drew them, you can click this line button at the top and you can just move them around. Just don't change the length of them with this because you'll get potentially a crooked line, and we want them all to be very straight. So go ahead and undo them if you need to at times as well. And again, we won't see these ones over here, but we will draw them anyway. Okay, so now we have all of our vertical lines laid down. So now we're going to make the triangular parts of the lines all on this same layer. So again, we'll just start in the middle, and essentially what we're going to do is draw a line from the tip of this line down into the left to meet our original ground shape. Hold it down, and then touch your finger to the screen to find an angle. And we're going to just do one off from vertical. So this is vertical, one more over, it snaps to this angle. So that's what we're going to do for all of them. So then this next one we'll do, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen till it matches that same angle, and let it go. If you ever need to adjust them, you can just click the line button at the top and adjust where they meet at the top of our vertical line or anything like that. So we'll fill all this in eventually, but this is just going to get our shapes. So we're going to do that all the way across. So this is a little tedious, but it's a good, good to know all these techniques. Okay, so now we'll go back and do the left side the same way. Okay, and then once you have all of your lines laid down, you'll have a beautiful picture like this. And now we'll move on to the next really fun part, which is going to be filling in all the spaces. So, don't worry, you won't have to drag and drop your color the whole time or use your pen tool. We will do another fun trick. So, go ahead and drag and drop your color to fill in one of the spaces. Hold it down on your screen while you're filling, and then slide to the right quite a ways to increase the threshold a good amount. We don't want any sort of like ghosty lines in here. So do it again if you need to. Drag and drop, hold it down, keep sliding it until you don't see any gaps, but you also don't want to overfill it to where it bleeds outside of the line. So just get it to a good spot. So my threshold is set to about 75%, pretty high. If you had to drag your threshold quite a bit, you can undo your old ones if they have the ghosty lines and then redo them at the new threshold. But then when you fill one, once your threshold's set and you fill one, you will see this continue filling button at the top. Go ahead and click that. And then you can just tap into all these other spaces to fill them in as well. And you can also increase the threshold while you're here. So if you touch an area and drag it, you can increase the threshold more, or lessen it if you need to. So just go ahead and do this all the way across. If you have any really tiny spaces that you can't quite touch with your pen, like this one's really small, we will come back with our pen to fill in the tiny ones. So just fill all the main ones that you can all the way across. Okay, I'm going to grab my pen tool now and fill in any other little tiny gaps that there might be. Okay, and once it's all filled in, that is our tree line. So we are going to make a second one of these, but I am not going to make you do that whole thing again. We're just going to make a duplicate. We're going to flip it so it looks a little different. So go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of our tree layer here by sliding left and hitting duplicate. Grab the one on top, grab the second color on the second row and drag and drop to fill that in. So now you can't see our old one because it's behind this, but go ahead and click your arrow tool. First click flip horizontal, set it to freeform, and then drag this top middle button down a little bit to get them to be a little bit shorter. You can also drag the whole layer down and off the screen at the bottom to make them shorter as well. Do a little something like that to get a good variation in a second set of trees here. Next up is our bear and our big trees in the very, very front. So that is going to be again on a new layer. So just go to your layer menu, add a new layer above the trees that we have so far underneath our white outline layer still. Grab the third color on the second row of our color palette. Same monoline brush at 30%. We're first going to draw the ground. It's just going to be kind of like a wavy line right in front. So just draw a little ways up from like the bottom of our paw print here and just draw a little slightly wavy line like so to make our ground. Draw it pretty fast to get a nice smooth line, so do it a couple times if you need to get one that you like, and then go ahead and fill in below it. So now we're just going to draw our big trees that are in the front, so we'll see the whole trunk of the tree. They'll be like mostly on the sides, and then we will draw our bear in the middle. So same color, same layer, same brush, all that, and we're just going to start right here where the ground is, a little bit in from like the side of my paw print here maybe, and draw a line straight up. Hold it down, going all the way off the top of the screen. Touch your finger to the screen to make a perfectly vertical line. Let it go. Then we'll go over from that a little bit to make the width of our tree trunk here, so maybe about like this. Draw another line straight up, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, going all the way off the top. Okay, then we can go ahead and fill that one in. Then we'll leave a good amount of room in the middle here for our bear. And then I will start another one. So maybe right about here, draw a line straight up, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen to make it perfectly vertical and go all the way off the top. And we'll make this one a little skinnier too. So we'll leave a smaller gap, draw my second line, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen, fill that in. And then we'll draw another tree on the left here. So 2 trees on this side to just change it up a little bit. So I'll leave a gap, make another vertical line, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen. I might click the line button here and just move it to the left just a little bit. And then I'll make my second line all the way off into my white space, but that's okay. Draw the line, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. My first line didn't go off the top of the screen here, so I'm just going to do that with my pen. It'll be covered up later, so that is fine, but just to connect it so that we can fill this one in as well. So I have 3 tree trunks here, like so, going all the way across. And now we're just going to add a few branches to them. So I'm going to start on this right one here, and I'm just going to make a little branch going off the left side. Just to, line. I'm not like holding it down or anything. I'm just kind of making it thicker at the base, thinner at the end, like so. Maybe I'll have a little tiny one going off of that one as well. Then maybe I'll do a small one on the right side here just by itself. And then maybe another smallish one on the left side up here. Okay, and then we'll do something on this side as well. So maybe we'll make a small one on the bottom left here. And then maybe we'll make a bigger one with a little doodad coming off of it there. And then maybe another small one up here. But I kind of don't want to cover that whole mountain peak, so maybe I'll make it a little lower so that we can still kind of see that mountain peak there. And then we have this far left tree, so I will make one right here. Maybe make a bigger one here with a second one coming off of it. And then maybe a small one up here. So just kind of go around and add those specifically in like the open spaces here where our cutouts are. But if you have some that are partially behind some of the white space, that's fine too. So just to kind of add some more detail to them. And now we are going to draw our bear. So it's going to be the same color and it will end up on this layer, but we're going to draw it on a separate layer first so that we can, manipulate it if we need to. But okay, so add a new layer on your layer menu right above the one that we were on. And we're going to zoom in on this bottom ground area here to draw our bear. So we're going to make this as simple as possible. So we are first going to draw a nice big oval for his body, kind of like more horizontal. Hold it down. I'm going to click edit at the top and just make it a little bit more like fat, from top to bottom. So it's like a little bit longer from left to right, but still pretty fat all around. And then it's going to tilt up slightly on the right side. And then I'm just going to place it here with a good distance between it and my ground. Enough room for its head on the right side here, like so. Go ahead and fill that in. Okay, and so then now to make his head, we will zoom in here and it will be on the right side. So I'm going to start a little bit above the right corner of this oval here and make like a little circular shape for the ear. So I'm not like holding it down or anything, but just drawing a nice good circular shape. And then we'll just kind of connect it to the body in more of like a curved or straight line that kind of comes from the oval here, like so. And then from the right side of the ear here to make the head, we are just going to draw a wavy line that goes up and then down and then up again, like so. So this is like his forehead, then it dips down like where his eyes would be, then it goes back up a little bit to where his nose would be, and then it comes back around in a nice like curved line back to his body. Then go ahead and fill that in. So very simple shape. Go ahead and clean it up a little bit with your eraser or your pen if you need to. Okay, and so then now we will draw the legs. So we'll start with this front leg. So it's going to come off like this bottom right corner of our oval here, and it is going to be kind of hovering above the ground. So I'm just going to kind of draw like his knee, and then the bottom of his foot I'll just round out, and then we'll go back to the body like so. So that's just kind of a rough start to it, but it's hovering above the ground there. I might make it thicker on this top area to kind of come off the body like so. So that's his front paw. And then each other paw will just kind of make like 2 lines, and then it kind of rounds a little at the bottom where it meets the ground. So then we'll leave a bigger space here for till we get to the back legs. So again, this one will just kind of make 2 lines on the sides, maybe a little rounded at the bottom. And then when we come to this back leg here, we'll just kind of come straight from this corner, kind of just make it a nice little transition there and fill it in like so. So then you can thicken up some of the legs if you need to make them more even. I might thicken up this front one. Might thicken it up a little bit more even, make it a little bit wider. Okay, so then that is our bear. So it is on a separate layer. If you need to make any adjustments, you can erase parts, you can redo parts. You can, maybe yours ended up kind of like up in the air here or too far down. So then you can click your arrow tool, move it around, resize it, whatever you need to do. But just make sure that once you're done, you just kind of nestle it nicely on the ground here, where at least like the 3 paws should be connected. This front one that's angled can connect too. If it does, if it's floating, that's fine too, either way. But once you have it in a nice spot and you like the shape and size of it, we will go to our layer menu and we will snap these 2 layers together so that all of this dark color with our trees, our ground, and our bear are all on one layer here. Okay, we are getting close to being done. So we are now going to make the moon and stars in the sky that are going to be kind of cutouts on our white layer. And then we'll add all the shadows and stuff to make it look more paper cut like. So we are first now going to increase the opacity of our white layer all the way up to 100. So find that layer on your layer menu, click the N to open up the options and slide it up to 100. So this is what we are left with for our picture. So now we are going to cut out the moon from this white layer. So make sure we're on our white layer and we are going to cut it out. So we're going to use our eraser. We're going to have our eraser also set to the monoline brush. We'll set it to about 50%. And I'm going to make my moon in the top right corner here in this open space. So to do so, I'm just going to erase a nice circle. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle. Okay, you can click the circle button at the top if you need to adjust the size or move it around. If you need to adjust the size, just make sure to touch in between 2 of the blue dots, like so, to resize it. If you touch one of the blue dots, it'll just like turn it into an oval, and we don't want that. So resize it and place it wherever you would like. It is going to be a crescent moon, so we're going to have this bottom left corner be the actual cutout. So just go ahead and place it like so. Then we are going to grab our selection tool and we are going to turn off color fill. We're going to set it to automatic. and we are going to just touch this center area where this remaining white circle is to select it. Click our arrow tool and drag it off the screen. So now we have a full circle cut out. You might see a ghost of a white line here, so go back in with your eraser if you need to erase anything else that's like left over right there. But now we want to make it a crescent moon, so we're actually going to switch back to our monoline brush with our white color selected. So grab our white color, first one on the top row, same layer here, monoline brush at about 30%. And now we're going to make another circle on the top right here with our brush. So draw a circle shape, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle. And again, this bottom left side will be our crescent moon. So go ahead and click the circle button at the top to adjust it and move it wherever you would like, if you want a really skinny one or a thicker one. And just make sure that you like where this circle is placed and how it's sized and everything. And then we'll go ahead and fill in that remaining space there to make our crescent moon. Okay, next we are going to make our star cutouts on our white layer as well, and that is the special brush that you should have downloaded. So it is the star brush, but we're actually going to use it as an eraser. So find it wherever you imported it under your eraser selection. We are first going to set it to 100%. Let's get a few nice big ones, so maybe just like 3. So maybe I'll make one like right here, and right here, and right here. Then we'll drop the size to 50%, and we will make a few more. So maybe I'll make some over by my moon. Just obviously keeping it to this kind of upper area. So now we are going to change the color of the moon and the stars on our background so that A, they're a different color, and B, we're going to use it to cover up like our big black tree shapes here that are sticking up into our stars and moon, which we don't want. So we are going to go to our layer menu. We are going to click on this white layer here that we have and set it to reference. We're going to add a new layer. We're going to drag it behind our white layers, but then above everything else that we have so far. And we're just going to simply fill in these shapes on this new layer behind our white one with our different colors. So let's first just grab our star color, which is going to be our yellow, the first one on the last row, and we're just going to drag and drop it into a star. Click the continue filling button at the top and just touch inside the other stars to fill those in with this yellow color, like so. Then we'll grab our orange color, the second one on the last row, and our color drop is still active, so we're just going to touch our moon and it will fill it in with our orange color. So that was easy enough. So that just adds more color to our sky and covers up our trees in the background, but it's on a separate layer so we can still do all of our shadows and everything and have them look like they're part of our background picture. So now we are going to move on to all of that fun stuff. The shadows, the paper edge, and the paper texture. So the first thing that we're going to do is set all of our layers to alpha lock. So we'll start with our very top layer. First of all, let's click it and turn off reference. So we are going to click on each layer now and set them to alpha lock. So we're on our white layer, click it, set it to alpha lock. The next one, just alpha lock all the way down, like so. Oh, our bottom one was already set to alpha lock, so leave that one alone. Make sure that the check mark is active on each one. Okay, so essentially we're going to make 2 duplicates of all of these layers. One will be filled in black, and we will add a blur to it to be our shadow. One we will fill in white, and we will move it just slightly to be like the edge of our paper. So we will first do our black layers. So find the black color, the third one on the bottom row, select that. Go back to our layer menu now with all of our layers with alpha lock turned on. We're going to slide to the left on our mountain layer at the bottom here, hit duplicate, grab the one on the bottom, click on it, and click fill layer. And now we're just going to do that for each one. So our next one is our first tree layer, slide to the left, hit duplicate, bottom one, click on it, fill layer. Next tree layer, slide to the left, duplicate, bottom one, fill layer. Our big tree with our bear, duplicate, fill layer. And we will not have a shadow on our moon and stars, so we can leave that one alone, but we will have a shadow for our bear claw outline. So find our white layer here at the top, slide to the left, hit duplicate, select the bottom one, click on it, and click fill layer. Okay, so now we're going to go back down and un-alpha lock all of them and give them their blur. So we'll start here at the top where we are on our black claw layer. Click on it, turn off alpha lock. Click the wand icon, click Gaussian Blur, drag this up to like 8 to 10%. Maybe we'll do 8% for this one. Okay, our star layer we'll leave alone. Find our black biggest tree layer here, so the one on the bottom, click on it, turn off alpha lock, wand icon, Gaussian Blur, drag this up to maybe 6%. So that looks good. Now we'll find our next black layer, which is our frontmost tree layer. Click on it, turn off alpha lock, wand icon, Gaussian Blur, again maybe like 7% or so. Okay, next tree layer, the black one here, click on it, turn off alpha lock, wand icon, Gaussian Blur, up to maybe, again, 7 to 8%. Now our mountain layer, the black one at our very bottom, click on it, turn off alpha lock, wand icon, Gaussian Blur, and again, 7 to 8%. Okay, now we are going to move them all so that we can see the shadow a little bit better. So we are going to move them all at the same time so that they all look, you know, like they are casting the same shadow. So to do so, we're going to go to our layer menu. We're going to select all of our black layers. So the bottom one is already selected. Slide right on the next black one, right on the next one, right on the next one, and right on our paw print one. Click our arrow tool so you can kind of move them around and find a good angle. I'm going to go with one that's like up and to the right a little bit, like so. Okay, so that is it for our shadow layer. If you think your shadows are a little too dark, which they are maybe a little bit depending on how you want it to look, you can go back in and you can lower the opacity of all of these to like 70 to 80%, somewhere in there. I think I'll do 80. So you do have to go into each of them individually, but that doesn't take long. So just click the end to open up the options on each of them. Lower them each to about 80%, unless you want that really bold black shadow look, and that works too. But that is how we are going to leave our shadows. So next we just need our paper edge. So that's going to be with our bright white color. So let's find our bright white color on the color palette. So the first one on the first row, and we're going to go back into our layers and do essentially the exact same thing. A little bit different, obviously, because we're not going to do a blur to them. But we are going to start at the bottom here with our mountain layer. Alpha lock should still be on for our main colored layers. So we're going to start with our mountain layer at the very bottom here. You know, the colored one that has alpha lock turned on. Slide to the left and hit duplicate. Select the bottom one again, so it should be in between our colored one and our black shadow layer. Click on it and click fill layer so that will fill in with white. We'll do the same thing for all the others. So our next tree layer, slide to the left and hit duplicate on the colored one. Click the middle one right below it. Click on it and click fill layer. Next one, duplicate, middle one, fill layer. Next one, duplicate, middle one, fill layer. We don't need to do it to our paw print because it's already white. We won't see an edge to it anyway. That one is fine to leave alone. We also won't do anything to our star and moon layer, so we ended up not doing anything with that one. But so now we will find all of our white layers. So grab our white big tree layer here with our bear on it. Slide right on all of the other white layers, so you should have 4 in total. And then we're going to click our arrow tool, and we're going to move them all just a teeny bit up and to the left. Essentially, I might even just use my finger and just tap on the screen up and to the left, just like 1 or 2 times, maybe 3 at the most. And you will get a nice white edge to everything to make it look like paper. Okay, really quick, we are going to turn off symmetry finally. So let's go to our gear icon and under canvas, click to turn off the drawing guide just so we don't have to look at that line anymore, because we are on our final step to really hit it home and make it look very paper-like, and that is to add a paper texture to everything. So to do that, we're going to go to our layer menu, add a new layer at the very top, Click on the N to open up the layer options here and drag it up to multiply. Then we are going to import the paper texture picture that you should have downloaded. So click the gear icon, under Add, click Insert a File, find it wherever you had downloaded it. And then it is a rectangle and our picture is a square, so just make sure your arrow tool is selected and set it to uniform and drag it up to cover the entire picture. You can set it to freeform too if you want to and just stretch it out from top to bottom. Either way, just to make sure that we have everything completely filled. And that adds a beautiful paper texture to our entire picture here. And that completes it. So I hope you had fun. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it. So go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. While you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.